everyone, and welcome back to the Smart Tea podcast, where we talk about the lives of scientists and innovators who shape the world. I'm Aarati.
And I'm Jyoti, her mom.
Hey, Mom, guess what?
What?
So we got a really amazing comment on our YouTube channel on one of our shorts I wanted to share with you.
Yes, please.
The username is Michelle Blau, and she wrote on one of our shorts about William Dement, who is one of our previous episodes.
The sleep guy.
Yes, he's the sleep doctor. Yeah.
Yes.
In that episode, maybe you'll remember, William Dement was giving a presentation on narcolepsy and showing a video at the conference about his narcoleptic patients.
Yeah, the narcolepsy is where the patient has bad sleep patterns. They fall asleep all of a sudden.
Yeah, they fall asleep randomly during the day when they shouldn't. And so he was showing a video of a patient who exhibited that behavior. And in this conference of neuroscientists, there was a neuroscientist who came up to him after he gave that talk and said, I know a dog that exhibits that same behavior.
Yes, and that led to developing animal models for narcolepsy, for studying narcolepsy.
Yes, they were able to create a whole line of dogs that were narcoleptic dogs so that they could study the behavior.
Right.
Yes. So Michelle Blau wrote, the neurologist that spoke about the dog Monique at the conference was my father.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. What a lovely connection. Oh my God.
Yeah. She says, we were living in Canada at the time. Thanks for this. I shared it with him. It was one of the highlights of his career.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so now this is like one of the highlights of my career. Thank you,
Michelle.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Michelle, your father is amazing. I mean, without him, we never would have had this model organism.
To study narcolepsy.
Yeah, his one comment, his one piece of advice has helped so many people who are struggling with sleep disorders. So amazing.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, such wonderful. This is what this podcast is all about, building a community of loving, caring, sharing people.
Yes, that's amazing comments. I love getting comments like this. So if you know someone who we've talked about, or you know someone who knew someone, let us know. I'd love to hear it.
And thank you to Michelle Blau for leaving a comment with us. This really makes all this effort worthwhile. Thank you.
Yeah. So, Mom, today I have a pretty interesting story for you.
Your stories are always interesting. I look forward to our sessions so much.
I'm so glad.
You are a great storyteller, and I really enjoy you bringing to life the journey of these scientists who are so very inspirational. I just love these stories.
Well, you know, these scientists make it easy because some of them have just had the most fascinating life. I feel like I barely have to do any sort of storytelling at all because their lives are just incredible and their journeys are just incredible. And today's story is definitely one of those. Like, I barely had to do any work. She herself is a fantastic storyteller. Her name is Eugenia Clark. She went by Genie, as in Genie with the lamp.
Genie with the lamp?
Yes. And she's an ichthyologist, which is a fish scientist.
Oh, fish. Okay.
Yeah. So she's a marine biologist, but she's just obsessed with all types of fish. And she was nicknamed the Shark Lady.
Oh, the Shark Lady. I think, okay. Clicking a bit. Okay,
yes,
wonderful.
She became quite famous, so I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere
something is pinging in my brain.
Yes. Yes.
But I don't know her story. No, for sure.
She has an incredible story. So
oh, I'm so excited that you're sharing it with me.
Yeah, I think you're really going to enjoy it.
Yes.
So she was born on May 4th, 1922 in New York City. Her father was an American man named Charles Clark, but he actually died before Ginny even turned 2 years old. So she never really knew him. Ginny was raised by her mother, Yumiko Motomi, and all of her extended family.
Oh, so was she of mixed heritage then?
Yes,
Ah,
Yumiko was Japanese.
there, the name sounded like that. Okay, got it.
Yes. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so they're all Japanese. Her extended family are all Japanese. And because they're from Japan, they have already a very deep appreciation for the ocean.
Yes,
And the family would go to the beach all the time and go swimming in the ocean. Yumiko, the
yes,
mother, loved swimming in the ocean and,
mm,
taught that to Ginny. And
yes.
so she was just kind of brought up that way with deep respect and
She was a
appreciation.
water baby right off the bat.
Although she does say she wasn't great at swimming from the beginning. She found
Yes.
coordination a little bit hard with all her limbs kind of flailing about. Like, how do you move? But she enjoyed it. She really treasured those childhood
Wonderful.
memories of going to the beach. When Ginny was 9 years old,
Hmm.
Yumiko got a job which required her to work Saturday mornings.
Hmm.
So Yumiko took Ginny to the New York Aquarium in Battery Park and
Oh.
told her that she would be back around lunchtime to pick her up. And she just kind of left Ginny
Oh,
at the
oh,
aquarium.
oh my God. She was a free range child. Oh,
Yeah.
those were really good days, I have to say. I
Yes.
would have loved to be in have that kind of freedom as a child, I mean, and
Yeah.
also be able to give you that kind of freedom when you were growing up. But no, I kept you and your brother on a somewhat tight leash. Always,
Yeah, I think the
always,
1980s and 90s when we were growing up as kids, like stranger danger was at its height. And
I
so,
agree. Everything
yeah,
was structured and monitored and helicopter parenting and all.
not only would a mother not drop their child off, but if anyone saw a random 9-year-old child wandering around without a parent, it would become an immediate, like, we need to
I
call.
agree. Child protective services would be immediately
Yes.
called, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very different
Ni-
times.
but born in 1922, so this is right around 1930. So that's about
Hmm.
almost 100 years old at this point. That is like 95 years ago. So,
Yeah.
yeah, things were good
Yeah.
at that time, I guess. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, her mom just dropped her off at the aquarium, said, I'll be back around lunchtime to pick you up, go wander around for a few
So
hours.
every Saturday, she could just go into the aquarium and relax and enjoy. You can sit for hours watching these fish and their
Yes.
movements.
And that's what she
Ah,
did. She was just absolutely fascinated from the get go
yes,
and
yes,
was particularly interested in watching, like you said, how they swam because she
mm,
had so much difficulty swimming. But these
yes,
fish don't have arms and legs to flail
yes.
around, and yet they
And
move through the water with their fins and
so
their tails so
graceful. Yes,
gracefully. Yes.
yes, yes.
And so she was just fascinated by their movements and how they could swim. And she would watch them for hours until her mom came and picked her up. And this soon became a ritual. Every Saturday morning, Yumiko would drop Ginny off at the aquarium. And then
Hmm,
afterwards, they would go to lunch at a small Japanese restaurant called Fuji. And,
yes.
life is good.
Wonderful.
And so, of course, the next step is pretty soon Ginny starts begging her mom to get a fish tank for their home.
Yes. Step one.
Yeah, naturally.
Yes,
And actually, her mom didn't need much convincing. That year, when Christmas time came around, they both went shopping and bought a large tank and a ton of fish.
yes.
In her autobiographical book, Lady with a Spear, she listed, quote, a pair of vein-tailed guppies, black speckled red platies, pale green swordtails, striped danios, head and tail lights, a weird-looking scavenger fish with whiskers, and a pair of graceful angelfish. This is their shopping spree of fish that they
Wow.
got for their
Oh,
tank.
wow. Almost, they went for almost every color. And
Yes.
I can imagine this little fish tank in their home, well, even large fish tank, whatever it
Hmm.
was, almost looking like a coral reef or something with all the
Yeah.
myriad colors of the fish. Oh my God. Beautiful.
Yes. And finally, although at this point they were way over budget, Ginny convinced her mom to also get a clownfish, calling it her
Oh,
very early birthday present. So,
yes. Get all the fish that you
yeah,
can when mom is in the
yes,
mood. Good for her.
yes. And Yumiko and Ginny were both obsessed with this new hobby. And
Ha.
soon they practically had a zoo at their home, which included
How?
salamanders, a horned toad, and a little alligator.
Oh my God.
They had a
Oh
little baby
wow.
alligator. Yeah.
We have
Yes.
had a good mother-daughter bonding. We are so tame in comparison. We go
I
on
know.
hikes, we go on walks together.
Now, I still remember the time when I was like 7 or 8 years old and I won a free goldfish at this little like carnival fair thing that my school put
Yes,
on. And I was like,
yes,
Mom, I won a free goldfish. Let's go get it. And
yes,
you were like, absolutely not.
yes, yes. I crushed your dreams
Yes.
without
I was like,
compunction.
but
I
it's
was a horrible,
free.
horrible
It's
mother.
free. No, actually, in hindsight, that was absolutely the right decision because the goldfish probably would have died fairly quickly and I would
Yes,
have been heartbroken.
that was
So,
my biggest fear.
yes.
Because I didn't have a clue.
Yeah,
And I knew you didn't have a clue. But you could have been the lady with the spear number two if I
I
had
know.
had a little more courage to let you have that goldfish.
Now I'm like the lady with the
Mm,
dog and a podcast. So
that
I'm
works
happy
too.
with that too. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
So the horned toad that she had was particularly interesting because Ginny had a hard time getting a hold of the mealworms that it ate. She
Hmm.
was like, where do I get these things?
Yeah.
Until she was introduced to a man named Mr. Stevens, who also
Okay.
had quite a menagerie in his home.
Hmm.
And he started talking to her about the animals, and he told her that all animals were God's creation. And if Ginny went with him to church that Sunday, on
Ah,
the way home, he would give her enough mealworms to last to the following Sunday. So he was kind of
okay.
like bribing her to like
Bribing her to
come to
go to church
church.
with him. Yeah. Uh huh. Uh
Yes.
huh.
And
Okay.
because Ginny didn't really know much about religion or church, like she vaguely knew that her mom and the Japanese side of her family were somewhat Buddhist,
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't very strict about it. And so
Yeah.
she's like, okay, church, I guess. And
Yeah.
so she wrote, quote, so I start going to church regularly.
Uh
In
huh.
addition to mealworms, I sometimes got a bonus of a baby fish or two that had been born during the
Oh.
week in Mr.
Oh.
Stevens' menagerie.
Oh. Wow.
Eventually, I was baptized for a snake and confirmed for Ditmar's Book of Reptiles.
What does that mean? Baptized for a snake, as in?
As in, she got baptized on the promise that he would give her a snake, and
Oh,
then
I got it. I got it now.
yeah,
So he promised her a snake if she would allow herself to be baptized. And
correct.
then what? What was
And
the other thing?
confirmed for Ditmar's Book of Reptiles. So again, he like
Oh,
basically bribed
basically
her.
bribed her into the church.
Yes. And she's just like, whatever, I don't care as long as I get my snake in my book.
Yes, her love for fish led her to the church, basically.
But I think for her, she never really got into the church. It was just
Yeah.
more of like, okay, fine, you want to pour water on my head and I'll get a snake? Sounds good.
Yes.
You know,
Yes. It was
like
it was only a means to an end for her.
exactly. Yeah.
Mm,
I don't think
yes.
it, like the religion aspect of it didn't
Yeah.
seem to really stick, I think.
Which actually sounds okay to me because, after all, he was in a way bribing her and blackmailing her instead of winning her over spiritually.
Hmm.
Although she got a nice things out of it, in her mind it was a decent trade
Yeah.
because
She
she
was like,
wasn't
whatever.
really. It
Yeah.
was just all about the animals.
Yeah. If I have to go to church every Sunday in order to get food for my animals and maybe a new animal here and there, then
Yes.
it's a good deal. That's fine with me. In high school, her obsession continued. No matter which class she was in, her mind always wandered over to fish. And even in English class, when they had like an assignment, she would write about fish somehow. She would
Mm,
squeeze it in there somehow.
yes.
Biology became her favorite subject because
Of
it gave her
course.
deeper understanding of the animals and plants that she kept and what exactly was happening when they grew or reproduced.
Yes.
After high school, Ginny went to Hunter College, where she
Hmm.
majored in zoology.
Hmm.
She was particularly inspired by a famous marine biologist, Dr. William Beebe, who explored the ocean in a bathysphere, which longtime listeners will remember that was the same contraption that Jacques Picard used for his voyage
Ah.
down into the
Yes.
Mariana Trench.
Yes.
So,
So basically, like a encapsulated. Some sort of a capsule that can go wander around in the ocean.
yes, I'm not sure how much you can steer it around. At least from Jacques Picard's episode, I kind of got the impression that it just went vertically straight up and down, depending
Hmm.
on,
Hmm.
what weights and things that you were using.
I hear you. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but I don't think this is the same level of like a submarine that you can
Yeah.
like, go
Actually
wander
steer
around.
around. Okay. Okay.
Yes,
I'm with you.
I don't think so. But by the time she finished college, World War II was underway, and there were very few zoologists, let alone marine biologist job openings.
Hmm.
So her family suggested that maybe if she took some typing classes or something a little bit more feminine, quote unquote,
Yes.
they were thinking like you could become a secretary and get a job working for a marine biologist. You could
Ah,
work for someone like Dr. Beebe. And she hated that. She was
of
like,
course.
absolutely not. I don't want
Yeah.
to be a secretary to a marine biologist. I want to be a
I
marine
want to be the
biologist.
marine biologist. I want to study them directly.
She also tried applying to Columbia University for graduate
Hmm.
school,
Hmm.
but she was rejected, with one of the scientists who interviewed her saying, quote, "Well, I guess we could take you, but to be honest, I can tell by looking at you. If you finish, you probably will get married and have a bunch of kids and never do anything in science after we have invested our time and money in you." End quote.
Oh, wow. Oh
Yeah,
my God. How horribly sexist about to do that. That
ridiculous.
is truly, truly horrible. I have to say, this attitude was prevalent even when I was looking for jobs after my master's in India. I did encounter this where
Hmm.
they would directly ask me. I was very young. I was a fresh grad, and they would say, "So, are you going to be married? Because if you're going to be married and you're going to move away because your husband lives somewhere else, then we don't
Yeah.
want to hire you." And they would much rather hire a guy, and the guys mostly were, had more and more doors open to them just because they were male, and they would
Hmm.
very quickly be able to move away to better jobs.
That was never even a question for them that,
Correct.
oh, if we hire you, will you move away or will you leave? Like that kind of question was never even asked
Never
of a
even
of a
asked. But
man.
because they were so strongly supported, the men,
Hmm.
they were easily able to take the initial foothold that they obtained in that job and
Yes.
translate it into a better job.
And then that was applauded. They were like, "Wow, great for you. You're moving up in life. You're climbing the ladder. Good for you."
Exactly. And in fact, ironically, if they had chosen the woman, because doors did not open easily for women, the woman would indeed
Would have
stay
stayed there
longer.
longer. Yeah.
So they would have been better off investing in a woman in those
Yeah,
days.
it's such a weird way of thinking. It's like, well, if your husband leaves, you
Hmm.
might leave too, which is why we don't want to hire you. Whereas the man who is the husband, it's like they're the ones who are doing the leaving, right? But you don't
Yes,
ask them that.
you
You
don't
don't
ask
ask
them. Yeah,
them
you don't ask
that
them. They are
question.
the ones who are
Yeah.
easily able to parlay their
Yeah.
initial foothold in the industry into better and better positions.
Yeah.
But
So,
we can digress a lot on this topic, so let us put a stop to
yes.
that.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. But actually, after graduating, she did get married to a pilot named
Hmm.
Jideo Umaki,
Hmm.
but he was deployed a lot of the time, leaving
Hmm.
Ginny on her own.
Hmm.
And
Hmm. Hmm.
so she ended up getting a job as a chemist in the
Hmm.
plastic research lab at the
Hmm.
Celanese Corporation in Newark. She made really good money there, but she just turned around and spent it all on taking graduate classes at NYU in ornithology, endocrinology, and ichthyology.
Wonderful.
Her ichthyology professor, Dr. Charles M. Breder, was actually the former director of that same aquarium in Battery Park where she hung out as a child.
Oh,
Yeah, so small world.
nice. Lovely.
He soon took notice of Ginny and for her love of ichthyology and decided to sponsor her master's research. He introduced her to a group of fish called plectognats, which
Hmm.
are really quite a diverse family of fish.
Hmm.
They're mostly tropical fish that live near coral reefs and
Hmm.
include the ocean sunfish, which I don't know if you've seen is a really large, flat fish without a tail. So it just kind of
Yeah,
looks like a big
a
disc.
big round. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
big round
yes.
disc. But it also includes boxfish, which have a 3D box looking shape.
Oh, wow. So interesting.
Yeah. and blowfish or pufferfish,
Yes,
which I
pufferfish.
think
Yes.
we all know. Ginny's master thesis was in studying the pufferfish and
Hmm.
how it was able to expand because not much was really known about their anatomy at that time.
Hmm.
So she was given a lab space and some specimens that she could pump full of water to see
Hmm.
how their extremely elastic stomach was able to expand until the fish was practically a sphere with little
Yeah.
pointy spines sticking out of them, so that if a predator tried to eat them, it would have a really
Oh,
hard time swallowing them.
yes.
So that was
Like a
like their defense
porcupine
mechanism.
practically became like a porcupine. So then the predator also slowly learns not to go near these
Yeah,
spiky
don't touch
balls.
these fish.
Yes, not worth your
Yeah.
time.
While she was finishing up her master's thesis, she attended the annual convention for the Society of Ichthyologists and Herpetologists
Hmm.
and was introduced to Dr. Carl L. Hubbs, who
Hmm.
was a professor at the Scripps Institute of Oceanography in La Jolla, California.
Okay.
And he offered Ginny a part time research assistant job during the summer.
Okay.
So she found some friends who were also heading west, and they took a 4 day long car ride across the country to California.
Nice.
As Dr. Hubb's assistant, she was given her own small project on the swell shark, which again is a relatively small shark, only about 3 feet long, which can
Hmm.
also swallow huge amounts of water and swell up to ward off predators. Dr. Hubbs also taught Ginny how to swim using a face mask so she could see underwater for the first time ever. And then he took it
Nice.
a step further by training her how to use a diving helmet to actually go for deeper dives. So the face mask
Oh,
just lets you see underwater, but you have to keep coming back up for air.
yeah.
But then the diving helmet is basically this thing that encapsulates your whole head and it sits
Yeah.
on your shoulders and it gives you a supply of oxygen. So it's attached by cords to a boat that's up on the surface. And the boat keeps feeding you oxygen into your helmet so that you can actually spend a prolonged amount of time underwater exploring
Yes.
the ocean
Yes.
floor and that kind of thing.
Oh, nice. Okay. Got it.
There's two cords actually that attach the helmet to the boat. One is the
Hmm.
one giving air, and the other
Yes.
cord is a signal cord that's used for communication. So by
Okay.
tugging on the rope a certain number of times, you could communicate with the boat,
Yes.
telling them that you wanted to move forward or you wanted to be brought back up or whatever it
Yes.
was. So for her first time using the helmet, she only went down about 30 feet into a
Oh,
kelp
only 30
forest.
feet.
Only 30
Only?
feet. Yes, only 30 feet. So I highly, highly recommend reading Lady with the Spear, which is where I got like a lot of this information because she just goes into so much incredible detail. She really like paints a picture. Here's one passage like when she was exploring this kelp forest, she came across a cluster of rocks and she wrote, quote, "It had holes in it like windows and lovely lavender sea anemones, abalones, shellfish, and sponges decorated it. It was like coming across a gingerbread house in this water forest, but there was no telling what witch of the sea might live there. So I decided not to get too close." End quote.
Wow. She's almost weaving a fairy tale
Yes.
in a different realm.
Yeah, she
Wow.
just had such
Wow.
a way with words. She was just
Yes.
so like she really brings you into the experience of what it's
Yes.
like
Yes.
exploring the ocean.
You can visualize it. She really brings it to life in front of your eyes. Although I have
Yes.
never been under the water before.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Lovely. What a talent. What a gift.
So, this is her first dive ever using this helmet. And as she's exploring, she slowly starts to notice that she's having a hard time breathing.
Oh.
So, she tries to open the air valve of the helmet more to make it more fully open, but she's still not getting enough air. So, she tries to signal that she needs to be pulled back up on by
Yes.
tugging on that signal rope.
Yes.
But what she hadn't realized is that while she was walking, the signal rope had got caught around some rocks. And so the
Oh. So
people
the
on the boat
tugging is
couldn't
not
feel her
working.
tugging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they can't feel her tug
So she had to retrace her steps and unwind the rope.
with less air.
Yes. And she was about to pass out when she finally managed to free the rope and get pulled out of the water.
Oh.
So back on the boat, she told them that something had happened to the air supply And one of the men on the team said, quote, just like a girl to screw the valve the wrong way and cut off the air.
Sexism at every step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when they inspected everything, the air valve was actually fully open and it was a different attachment that had been causing the issue. So it wasn't her fault at all. And there was nothing that she could have really done to have helped herself.
Did she get an apology?
Maybe, I don't know about if she got an apology from that guy, the one who made the comment,
Yes.
but Dr. Hubbs was very sympathetic towards her and said, that's such a terrible thing to have happened on your very first dive down.
Yeah.
But there's only one way to help erase such an experience. And that, of course, is take a short rest and then go back down again.
Go back on. It's that same thing. Get back on that bike. Yeah.
Get back
that
on the
we say.
horse.
Do it again.
Yeah. And she did. And over her lifetime, she completed countless more dives like this. So she just got over it pretty quickly. In 1947, Jeannie and Judeo, her husband, called it quits. And I think that's because they were just never together long enough to make their marriage work.
Yeah, I was almost reminded when you told me the guy was a pilot. I was reminded of Fiddler on the Roof, where the father is saying that his daughter I think it's his third daughter who is not allowed to marry the soldier. And he says exactly this. He says, a fish can fall in love with a bird, but where would they live? That was what he had said.
That's so good. That's exactly what happened.
Yes,
she's a fish and
he's a pilot and she's a marine biologist. But where would they live?
Yes. So that's exactly what happened. Their marriage just kind of fell apart because she's a fish and he's a bird.
And he's a bird. Yeah.
Yeah. So their marriage didn't work. That same year, though, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service was looking for an oceanographic chemist who was familiar with working with fish. And Ginny was like, hey, I'm actually perfect for this job because she had worked as a chemist at the Celanese Corporation.
Correct. It's coming together. All her little experiences are coming together.
Perfect. And she was initially hired, but then several people raised concerns about her being a woman. And she was the only woman on the team.
Okay.
So mysteriously, she's on her way to the Philippines for this job. And to get to the Philippines, she stops over in Hawaii and she gets stuck there. And she's told that her passport is delayed for some reason. She never figured out why or what happened. So she's basically stranded in Hawaii.
I see.
Meanwhile, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, lucky for them, get to hire a man in her place.
These are really hard stories, and we can rail against this sexism. We can rail against this kind of behavior.
But what I think was so inspiring was her attitude towards all of this. She was like, okay, you know what, though? Hawaii is an awesome place to get stranded in.
I was actually going to say the same thing. I was going to say, if I have to be stranded somewhere in this kind of a very, very unfair situation, I would say this is a gift. This is the most beautiful place on earth. Thank you. I will live here in Hawaii and conduct my research here.
Yeah. And you're not even obsessed with fish like she is. And so Hawaii's
it's the absolute paradise for a fish lover.
Yeah. And so that's what she does. She's just like, okay, great. So I'm in Hawaii. I'm going to study fish. And she starts spending her time at the Waikiki Aquarium and is given access to their little laboratory in the back to dissect and study fish. And so she spent a few weeks there before she ultimately had to return to New York. Back in New York, she received an offer from Professor Myron Gordon to work in his lab at the American Museum of Natural History, and he also offered to sponsor her PhD studies at New York University at the same time.
Oh, New York University is really good to her. Her master's professor recognizes her and tells her, I will sponsor you for a master's. And now they are...
And now a PhD.
PhD. And it's New York University right there. Columbia is right there. It's all in that same small realm, but there's a huge disparity in the way they approach a woman and her talent.
She said that, this was a somewhat unique opportunity given she was a woman, but also, unlike most men her age, she was completely a free agent. She had no financial or family obligations. Her mom was really supportive of her going off and adventuring everywhere. Her mom actually ended up marrying the owner of that Japanese restaurant where they used to go every
Where they used to go, the
Saturday.
Fuji,
Yeah.
with the Fuji
Yeah, the
restaurant,
little Fuji restaurant. So she's very supportive of Ginny just going off and doing whatever she needs to do.
whatever she needed to do to
Yeah.
pursue her passion. Yes.
Yes. So, for her PhD thesis, I thought this was interesting. She studied how two types of fish, the platy and the swordtail, which are both aquarium fish and are very closely genetically related, they became at some point sexually isolated in nature. So, these two fish in nature do not crossbreed, but in aquariums, they do. You can get hybrids. But interestingly, only the
Hmm.
hybrid strains of fish develop cancer. And
Ooh.
that cancer produces tumors that are very similar to human tumors. So it's
Oh
almost
my
like these
goodness.
fish in the wild know that if they try to mate with each other, bad things will happen.
Yes.
And if they're kind of forced to by proximity or whatever, by the change of environment, if they're made to mate with each other in aquariums, then cancer arises. So
Interesting.
very interesting. And so
Yeah.
they were kind of trying to figure out like, how did the swordfish and the platies in nature become sexually isolated? Like how come they don't mate with each other? How do they know not to do that?
Not to
You
do,
know?
not to crossbreed.
And so that's kind of what Ginny was studying. She was studying the courtship behavior of how the two fish varied, when exactly mating occurred, and how fertilization occurred
Yeah.
of the female's eggs. And in addition to courtship differences, she also found that if the female of a certain species was inseminated with sperm from both species of fish, the species of sperm that was the same as the female was more
Yes.
likely to fertilize the egg. So it had like a competitive
Yes.
advantage.
Competitive edge. Okay. Hmm.
Yes. And during this research, she became the first scientist to make test tube fish babies by artificially inseminating a female fish. Yeah.
She is an amazing lady.
She also, like, while she's doing her PhD work, she also did some work in the West Indies studying the behaviors of filefish, which
Hmm.
apparently stand on their heads to show dominance. So I thought that
Oh,
was,
I have a feeling I've seen these in an aquarium somewhere. Fish standing on their head. I have a feeling I've seen this.
I felt like that too. I felt like that dinged a
Yes.
little
Yeah,
bell in my head
that dings
also.
a little bell
Yeah.
in my head, but I didn't realize it was to show dominance.
And
An
yeah,
interesting way to show. Well, I much rather have. I assume those are males showing
yes,
dominance.
yes,
Yes,
yes.
I much rather that
Females.
a male show dominance by standing on his head, which is
Yes.
actually good for his brain,
Yeah.
rather
Like get
than
all the blood flow down there.
showing dominance by pulling out the sword and bashing the other male up. Good
Yeah.
for the whole species.
Yes.
We have a
So,
lot to learn as
yes, we
humans.
do. She also studied these small fish called gobies, studying their visual learning patterns. So, like,
Oh,
the fish's eyes are on either side of its head, unlike humans who have two eyes straight in front. So, she was trying to figure out, like, if they saw something with their left eye and then you covered it, could they remember that it was there? Things like that. Um,
yes.
so we're not really going to get into that now. Um, she just knows so much about every type of fish. It's just incredible. Reading her book, she just went on these little like tangents here and there. It's just like, what's really interesting about fish eyes, and what's really interesting about this one's fin, and what's really interesting about this one's teeth. And I'm like, oh my
Mm,
god, you know
yeah.
everything. Like,
But this is what happens when
mhm,
you are allowed full freedom to follow your true purpose in life. Each one is born with an inner calling. And if you're able to be quiet enough to be able to listen to that inner voice of yours and then
mhm,
follow that inner calling with complete freedom, this is the kind of genius that emerges. This is
yeah.
the kind of knowledge that is gathered that can change humanity, basically.
Yeah, can you imagine if everybody just followed their heart and did exactly what they wanted in terms of research and studying
Yeah.
and
And
following their
it's,
passions?
I'm not going to think about the money. I'm not going to think about who likes me, who doesn't like me, is this
Yeah.
acceptable, is this not acceptable. I will follow my inner voice. I'm going to go after what my heart tells me to do. And
Yes.
if you have that kind of freedom to be able to do that, not
Yeah.
everybody has that freedom. So
Yeah.
but if you do have that, what a transformative world this would be.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's what her entire story is. She's just
Beautiful,
chasing fish
beautiful.
everywhere around the world. Hey mom, did you know that Galactic Polymath Education Studio is holding the first ever My Sci Journey competition?
Yes, it's so exciting. I heard that you could win up to $500 for sharing your science story.
Yep. Just make a short video describing your scientific career path and the importance of your research and upload it for your chance to win.
Eligible videos will also become part of an online resource to show the public a glimpse of the real people and work done in science.
The My Sci Journey competition is open to everyone, from high schoolers to tenured college professors, and is a great way to flex your science storytelling muscles.
Upload your submissions by September 30th, 2025. For more competition rules and resources, including beautiful slide templates to help you get started, visit galacticpolymath.com. galacticpolymath.com.
That's galacticpolymath.com.
We
We can't
can't
wait
wait
to
to
hear
hear
your
your
stories.
stories.
Hi everyone, Aarati here. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If so, and you wish someone would tell your science story, I founded a science communications company called SciComm, that's SYKOM, that can help. SciComm blends creativity with scientific accuracy to create all types of science communications content, including explainer videos, slide presentations, science writing, and more. We work with academic researchers, tech companies, nonprofits, or really any scientist to help simplify your science. Check us out at SciCommer.com. That's SYKOMMER.com. Okay, back to the story. So in 1949, Ginny learned of a program called Scientific Investigations in Micronesia, which was being sponsored by the Office of Naval Research. And they wanted to learn more about the Pacific Islands that made up the U.S. Trust Territory after the Pacific War.
Okay.
So Ginny applied, and she was specifically chosen to go on the trip to study poisonous fish in the area. Her final destination was the Palau Islands, but
Mm-hmm.
once again, she was held up for a couple of weeks because one of the coordinators who was in charge of housing for the program hadn't realized that E. Clark was a woman. And so she couldn't be housed at the same bachelor's office quarters that all the other, scientists and naval officers were being kept at. So they were
Yes.
like, oh no, we don't have
Oh.
housing for a woman. What do we do?
Hmm.
And so she had to wait a bit in Guam until
Okay.
alternate arrangements were made.
But she did get to her
She
destination and
did.
everything. So
Yes, she did.
this was just an experience deferred. It was not an experience denied.
Yeah, but again deferred because she was a woman and they had
Yeah,
no
but
accommodations for a
it's a
woman.
step better.
Yeah.
Both
A
things
little bit
happened
better.
because she was a
Yes.
woman, but in one case
Yeah.
she was completely denied and blocked out.
Yes.
In this case, it
Yes.
was only deferred, and
Yeah.
they made accommodations once they realized that they hadn't quite understood the situation completely.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So she gets stuck in Guam for a couple weeks, but again, she just takes it in stride and she's like, great, I'll explore Guam and I'll collect fish from tide pools and, kind of explore some of the poisonous fish in this area. When she finally did make it to the Palau Islands, she immersed herself in their culture and made friends with the local fishermen who would show her the best practices of where to find all kinds of fish. She hired a local man with a motorboat named Nirai Bui and a fisherman named Sai Kong who showed her how to use a net to capture fish and use a hand spear underwater. And again, she just like went into so many stories about this in her book, like
Hmm.
just story after story about their adventures chasing after fish. her and Saikong and Nirai Bui just going out and like, and then this happened, and like they found a triggerfish, and
Oh,
Saikong showed her how to extract it from its hiding place, and then they saw this giant clam that could have swallowed them all whole. Like, you know, they rode on the back of a sea turtle. Like,
she lived a magical life, and
yeah,
it's almost like she's helping to share the magic with you.
yeah, just story after story about this. And then she's like also visiting a few of the neighboring islands and, you know, living with the natives in their home, eating their traditional foods, learning about their culture, and of course, learning about all the kinds of fish.
You know what? It tells me that she has a deep respect for not just the fish, but for
Hmm.
all cultures and all human beings.
Yeah.
And because she's so open and she's able to accept all these experiences, all these people, she's able to learn from everybody. Everybody becomes her guru. Everybody
Hmm.
becomes her teacher. If you are somebody with a bit of prejudice, you might think that person with a graduate degree from New York in USA,
Hmm.
what would they have to learn from this lowly boatman, lowly fisherman in Pulau Island? But
Yeah.
she was very open, that therefore received so much wisdom.
And that's exactly what she said actually in her book. She
Oh,
said, quote, "You may not receive a warm response if you ask a rich friend to help you obtain money, but ask a strange fisherman to help you find a specific fish, the
mm,
harder and rarer the better, and you
mm,
will immediately get his interest and eventually his wholehearted help. You do not have to know his language, just draw a picture of the fish, gesticulate for his help, and let him lead the way. In doing so, you have told him three important things. You have not come just to stare at him and his people. You have a specific interest in common with his. You respect his judgment and recognize his superior knowledge of local conditions, and you trust him."
such deep wisdom. That's the way people should treat each other.
Yes. Don't come in with this attitude that you know everything and you'll learn so much.
Yes, it takes a really smart person to understand how little they know.
And she definitely was like, I know that I'm not the expert here. You're the one who knows about these fish. So I would like to learn that from you, please. You know, and they're very willing to be like, hey, this lady wants to know about this fish. Oh my gosh, I'm going to go show her my favorite fish, you know?
Beautiful, beautiful.
In 1950, Ginny graduated with her PhD, and she also got married to her second husband, Ilias Papakonstantinou,
Hmm.
who was an orthopedic surgeon.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. They were both very supportive of each other's careers. She wrote, quote, "There were evenings when I was pressed for time, when our date, quote unquote, consisted of translating a German ichthyological article or my calling out numbers to him and him running a calculating machine while we figured out the data on my experimental work. And so I couldn't complain on other evenings when I spent the whole time waiting in the lobby of St. Clair's Hospital." End quote.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that is that is nice. I can see they cared so much about each other.
Yeah.
That's
Like they're
nice.
trying to go on a date, but it's like, oh my God, I have this deadline, or oh my God, I have
Yes.
this surgery I have to complete. And it's like,
Yes.
okay, yeah,
Okay. All right.
go for it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Ilias was very excited for Ginny when she won a Fulbright scholarship to study fish living in the Red Sea because she would
Ah.
be staying in Egypt.
Hmm.
And his family was right across the Mediterranean Sea in Athens. He's Greek. And in fact, while she was in Egypt, Ilias came and visited her, and they went to Athens and they got married there.
Nice.
And they spent their honeymoon at the Red Sea studying fish together, of
Oh.
course. Of course.
This reminds me of a previous episode of yours where Lister and his wife went on their
Yes.
honeymoon. They went to the various hospitals to learn
Yes.
about
To learn
surgery
about all
techniques,
their, yeah,
all the
all their
all the
practices.
various techniques of various medical practices. Okay.
Yes. So the Red Sea actually becomes a big part of her life. It's a very unique environment and can almost be classified maybe as one of those extreme environments that we were
Yeah.
talking about in our
Yeah,
last
I
episode.
agree. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
The surface waters can get as hot as 30 degrees Celsius or 86 degrees Fahrenheit, which is one of the warmest marine habitats. And this high temperature also leads to high amounts of evaporation, which concentrates the salt in the sea. So the Red
Yes,
Sea is also one of the saltiest seas.
yes.
Marine life has to be extremely resilient and have adapted to this environment. And so, again, she's just like in the Red Sea having a blast studying all types of clownfish, scorpionfish,
Mm.
pipefish, pufferfish, parrotfish, sea slugs,
Wow.
snails, crabs, like everything. And while she's there, she discovered three new species of fish,
Oh,
one of which she called the Moses sole,
okay.
sole as in SOLE. The Moses sole is a flatfish that spends most of its time buried in the sand with
Mm.
just its eyes and nose peeking out.
Oh,
And when it's attacked, it secretes something called pardaxin, which is an
okay.
irritant to sensitive tissues like fish gills. And it's so strong that even sharks are repelled by it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so don't mess with this fish. So, although people did try to experiment with pardaxin and try to use it to protect human divers from sharks, scientists couldn't really make it work for us. But Ginny would have argued that that wasn't even really necessary. Like,
Mm.
humans don't need to be protected from sharks because she, of course, in the Red Sea spent so
Yeah.
much time studying sharks as well.
So while she's studying all these fish, she's also studying sharks in the Red Sea.
Yeah, because she's just diving and she's just encountering them.
Yes,
And at first, I think she and Ilias are both doing this. And Ilias, of course, also becomes fascinated by sharks. And the
yes,
first couple times, they're like, oh my God, it's a shark, you know?
yes,
But then they start to realize that the sharks aren't really bothering them. The sharks don't care about them. And so they start to become more and more comfortable.
yes.
And Ginny comes to realize that sharks are really given a bad rap by movies and media. And she's like, they're actually very, smart and intelligent, and they don't go around attacking people willy-nilly like it's portrayed in movies and books and stuff. Um
Yeah. It's kind of fear of sharks that is very highly prevalent everywhere. Fear and hate are two sides of the same coin, and the root cause is ignorance. The less you know about something, the more prejudice you have against it, the more hatred you have against it, the more fear you have of it.
mhm.
But the more you understand, the more you learn, the more respect you have for whatever it is. For example, sharks in this case. And the more respect you have, the more love you have, and the more you understand that, hey, I'm learning a lot actually from these mighty creatures, these beautiful
Yeah.
creatures.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what she realized, that
Hmm,
people just didn't know about
hmm,
sharks. And so
hmm.
that is probably in part what inspired her to write her first autobiography, Lady with the Spear, which is where I got all the information so far, where she talked about all her adventures up to this point in her career.
Yes, yes.
So, Lady with the Spear was published in 1953 and it quickly became a bestseller.
Hmm,
It was
hmm.
translated into several languages, including Braille, and thrust Ginny into the spotlight as a rising marine biologist who was of
Hmm.
particular note because she was young and a pretty woman who was not afraid of sharks. What a combination.
Yes, that unicorn.
Yes.
Yes.
With the success of the book, Ginny realized that she had a talent for communication and decided that
Hmm.
it should become her life's work to educate people about ocean life and especially sharks, which people really didn't know much about at the time. Like I was saying, people just kind of thought they were these mindless killer eating machines and not very smart, but very dangerous.
Yes.
And she was like, that couldn't be further from the truth, actually.
Yes. That is so
Yes.
beautiful.
The book also drew the attention of two philanthropists, William and Anne Vanderbilt, as in Vanderbilt
Hmm.
University.
The Vanderbilts saw it. Okay. They
And
sure
they
did.
funded the construction of a research station in Florida called the Cape Hayes Marine Laboratory, which today has been renamed the Moat Marine Laboratory and Aquarium.
Okay.
The Cape Hayes Marine Lab opened its doors in 1955 with Ginny at the ripe age of 33 as its founder and executive director, with a mission of, quote, acquisition and maintenance of sharks for visiting scientists and research on sharks, end quote.
Oh my God. Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Look what
Yes.
happens when the Vanderbilts recognize your work.
Yes. We need to support this one, this rising star.
Yes, absolutely. This is the kind of work that needs to be supported. Absolutely.
So, to help her acquire the sharks for this laboratory, Ginny
Mhm.
again worked with a local fisherman named Beryl Chadwick, who was pretty experienced at catching sharks on baited hooks. Over time, the reputation of the research lab grew, with Ginny doing a ton of outreach programs and giving
Hmm.
lectures to the public and at nearby universities. And soon, this is when she earns the nickname the Shark Lady. Although weirdly, she got that nickname before she really even started doing research or experiments on sharks. That research is ultimately what she becomes known for, but she got the
Mhm.
nickname like preemptively almost.
I think she was headed in that direction and people could see that. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. And I think, like you said, people just didn't know enough about them. And so they really just thought like sharks aren't very smart. They're really dangerous, but they're just like these mindless killing machines. And so she became the first scientist to show how smart sharks really are because she was able to train them to press targets to get food and showed that they had the ability to learn different colors and shapes.
Oh, wow.
She's also credited with discovering that some sharks don't need to swim in order to breathe. Instead, certain sharks, like nurse sharks that hang out on the seafloor, use a method called buccal pumping, which is where
Mhm.
they use the muscles in their mouth and cheeks to push water over their gills so that they can breathe without moving.
Wow.
So, not all
That
sharks can do this, but some fish and some sharks can do it.
such
Yeah.
detail and
Yeah.
such and recognizing the diversity of the various
Yes.
mechanisms. That is fantastic.
Yeah. She famously taught the Crown Prince of Japan, Akihito, how to snorkel and
Mm.
was gifted a trained nurse shark by him.
This
Yeah.
lady is trading major things for
Yes.
anything connected to fish. Right in her childhood, for a snake, she was willing
Yes.
to get into communion.
She's willing to be baptized. Yeah.
She really that sorry, yeah, I got my things wrong because I don't know enough. But now now
Yes.
she's got the crown prince of Japan and
Yeah.
he's like, please give me please
Yes.
give me what is it she's getting?
Snorkeling lessons.
She's
Yeah. I'll give
yeah,
you snorkeling lessons and you'll get a trained nurse shark in return.
yeah,
Yeah.
please give me a trained nurse shark.
Yes.
People would be like,
Yeah.
yeah, give me $1 million, give me a
Yeah.
mansion in New York. No,
Yeah.
give me a trained nurse shark. That's what
And
I'd
for
like to
her,
have.
that was probably a win-win. She's like, yes, I get to teach someone how
Absolutely.
to snorkel. This is great.
Yes, that's
And
great.
also I get a shark.
I get a
Amazing.
shark out of it.
Yeah.
A
Win-win.
trained one
There's
too.
no there's no downside. Yeah.
Her calling is so strong. It's shining
Yes.
bright in her.
Yes, very, very much
It's
so.
lighting up the entire world.
Yes. And she even rode on the back of a 40-foot whale shark on a trip to California.
Oh my
So,
goodness. Oh my goodness.
however, while her career was growing, her personal life was taking a hit. So she and Ilias had 4 children together, but I found one source that said that she felt that Ilias was becoming too obsessed with the money and fame that was kind of coming their way.
Hmm.
And so in 1967, they got a divorce, and she left the Cape Hayes Laboratory for a faculty position at the City University of New York. In New York, she met and married her third husband, a
Hmm.
writer named Chandler Brossard, but they too fell apart very quickly, divorcing less than 2 years later. Shortly after that, she accepted a teaching position at the University of Maryland, and so
Hmm.
she and her family moved to Bethesda.
Hmm.
And here in 1970, she met her fourth husband,
Okay.
Igor Klotsko, who was
Hmm.
chief of the Laboratory of Neuropathy at the
Hmm.
NIH.
Hmm.
However, this marriage didn't even last a year. So,
Okay. It is one of those things that maybe where if the woman is so very strong and so very bright and absolutely passionate about her work,
Mhm.
then it's not easy to find someone who will basically be in second position in her life.
Yeah, I can totally see that because I can see how she's such a vivacious and interesting and energetic person. And so people are drawn to her.
Yeah, she can captivate anybody.
And, these guys marry her, but then they don't realize she's not going to change that behavior. Like what initially drew them to her is the fact that she's going off to the Red Sea every year and going
Yeah,
off to, Hawaii and like, oh,
yeah,
I heard about this whale shark in the Pacific Ocean. I need to go there and see it. And she's running off
yeah.
and they're like, wait,
The very thing that attracted her, was attractive about her, is now becoming a barrier to deepening the relationship, because rather than the entire vast kaleidoscope of marine beings, why would you take something which is so much bigger and you're in love with it, and
yeah,
then narrow your vision back down to one person, no matter how wonderful? And
yes.
many people will not be able to accept that. Their egos may take a hit. So
Hmm.
maybe that's where things were going wrong.
Yeah. So despite her tumultuous personal life, her career remained very strong throughout all of this. In 1969, she published her second autobiography, The Lady and the Sharks.
Ah,
In 1975, the movie Jaws came out. And
yes,
so she had to work even harder now to convince people that sharks aren't mindless killing machines.
yes. Oh, that is so sad.
I think it had a profound impact on her career as well because anytime now people are talking about sharks and they're looking around for a shark expert, like she's the
Hmm.
one to call,
Hmm.
so she's doing a lot of like media appearances and writing
Hmm.
articles and all this kind of
Hmm.
stuff. She did a documentary for National Geographic in 1982 where she said, quote, people come to me and say, what'll I do if I go in the water and see a shark?
Hmm.
Don't have to do anything. The chances of that shark attacking you in any way is so remote. The sea
Hmm.
should be enjoyed and the animals in it. When you see a shark underwater, you should say, how lucky I am to see this beautiful creature in his environment. End quote.
Oh, beautiful. And also that it's interesting. Like, you are a very uninteresting creature to that shark. Don't think it has its laser focus on you. your
Yes.
your ego may think you are wonderful, but the shark couldn't care less about you. It's
Yeah.
minding its own business. So please, you do the
Yeah.
same.
You do the same. Yeah.
But respect that and give thanks that you are
Yeah.
able to watch its beauty, like
Yeah.
in the way it was intended to be.
And I think the most important piece of advice is like, don't freak out.
Yeah.
If anything's going to draw that shark's attention to you,
Yeah. If you
it's
freak
you
out, you're
freaking
going to
out.
thrash around, and
Yeah.
that's going to be like, wait, what the heck? And then the shark is now going to look at you and say, whatever that is thrashing around is probably a problem.
Yeah, it's probably dying anyway. I might as well eat it and put it out of its misery.
Yeah, and put it out of its misery, or it might hurt my kids. So I won't do
Yeah.
that.
So just be calm, relax, enjoy the beautiful creature that you see before you.
Yeah.
She remained at the University of Maryland until she retired. During that time, she continues to go on dives around the world. She taught others how to dive and became a very strong advocate for ocean conservation. She made repeated trips back to the Red Sea, where she discovered another new species of fish that she named Trichonotus nicky after her youngest son, Nicholas. One of her favorite places to dive was just off the coast of the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt because of its
Hmm.
gorgeous coral reef. And she was actually instrumental in convincing the Egyptian parliament to make that area an underwater national park and the first
Wow.
Egyptian national park in general.
Oh,
So,
fantastic. Oh,
yeah,
that is a huge win. If you can convert a coral reef into a national park, that allows for its protection for future generations. That
yes.
is what a legacy. This reminds me of that lady Beatrix Potter who bought large tracts of land.
That's the author of Peter Rabbit?
Yes, that's right. Yes, she took all that money and she converted large areas, beautiful areas of Great Britain into national parks. Oh, this is fantastic. We owe
Yeah.
so much to these people.
Yes,
to
we really do.
that these things are preserved for us.
Speaking of children's books, she also helped write a children's book called The Desert Beneath the Sea to introduce kids to the strange and wonderful animals that live on the sandy floor in shallow parts of the ocean.
Oh, wow.
Even after she retired, she continued to teach one class per semester. She contributed to magazines like National Geographic and continued to dive. She even got married one more time in 1997 to her fifth husband,
Okay.
Henry Yoshinobu Kon, who was a
Hmm.
longtime friend of hers.
Hmm.
However, their marriage ended when he sadly took his own life in 2000.
Oh,
So,
horrible. That is,
yes,
oh, she didn't deserve that.
very sad.
Oh, that's horrible.
Over her lifetime, Ginny made countless dives and over 70 dives in a submersible. So she did get to go in the bath escape type of thing that
Yes.
her hero, William Beebe, did. And in these submersibles, she was able to reach a depth of 12,000 feet in some
Hmm.
cases. So
Hmm.
went really deep.
Yes.
Her last dive was in June 2014 at the age of 92.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, goodness. Wonderful life. What a wonderful life.
Just a few months later, on February 25th, 2015, Ginny passed away from lung cancer. At the time of her death, she still had some research that was undergoing review and waiting
Hmm.
for publication.
Oh,
So,
wow.
worked
Oh,
until the very,
worked
very
until
end.
she dropped.
Yes.
That is truly, truly inspiring. That is true passion.
And actually, she had this quote that I think you would really like. I think several years before she died, she said in an interview, quote, "I figured if I'm in a wheelchair, they can wheel me to the end of the boat and put a tack on my back and dump me over the side of the boat, and I can go down to the bottom and study these fishies as long as I want."
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
she won't give
Yeah.
up her passion. She's truly remarkable.
So, in addition to her two memoirs and the children's book, Ginny wrote over 175 scientific articles during her life. She led over 200 field research expeditions all over the world. She's been inducted into multiple Women's Halls of Fame, including the
Hmm.
Women's Divers Hall of Fame.
Oh,
Plus, she
yes.
received many other medals and awards for her work in marine biology and conservation. On May 4th, 2022, on what would have been her 100th birthday, the US Postal Service released a new stamp honoring her.
Nice. Yes.
However, I really like to think that the legacy that she would have been most excited and proud about is that she has not one, not two, but at least 4 species of fish named after her,
Oh,
including one species of dogfish shark. So,
oh, dogfish.
the dogfish shark. Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah. Yes. So that's the story of Eugenie Clark, the shark
Oh,
lady.
truly
Yeah.
remarkable. That is
Yes.
beautiful. I love it. She brought so much. She changed the face of marine biology. She
Yeah.
changed the face of sharks.
And I know I keep saying this, but like seriously, her books are like I can see why they became bestsellers because she just takes you on all these adventures with her and it really feels like you're island hopping with her, you're going down into the sea with her. You know, she really does such a marvelous job of painting that picture and
She can paint a picture with words.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you feel like you're going on those adventures with her all around the world.
She is truly inspiring. I love it. You have made me want to go and read these books that she
Yeah.
has written, her autobiographical books.
I want to go sit in an aquarium and read her books. Like,
Yeah.
sit in that ambiance surrounded by all these fish swimming around me and just like
Yes.
pretend that I am also
Yes.
underwater with her.
Yeah. Watch those pilefish stand on their heads.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Watch like a
fantastic.
hammerhead shark swim over you while you're reading about
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's so easy to fear what you don't understand. And she's
Hmm.
showing you break those barriers, understand each other, gain knowledge, gain wisdom, live in peace.
Thanks for listening. If you have a suggestion for a story we should cover or thoughts you want to share about an episode, reach out to us at smartteapodcast.com. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Smart Tea Podcast, and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And leave us a rating or comment. It helps us grow. New episodes are released every other Wednesday. See you next time.